said, hola, ¿cómo está? She said, konnichiwa. She said, pardon my French. I said, bonjour, madame. And then she says, say, and I say, no, lay. No matter where I go, you know I love them all. She said, hola, ¿cómo está? Said, konnichiwa. She said, pardon my French. I said, bonjour, madame. And she says, I say, and I say, no, lay. No matter where I go, you know I love them all. I'm feeling kinda young, I'm feeling reckless. Let me hold you, let me grab you by the necklace. I'll show you what the good loving is sexes. It turns you on when I got you feeling helpless. And I'ma eat you up for dinner, lunch and breakfast. Bring your friends along cause they are on the guest list. We can fool around I'm breathless. Hold off the drinks, out my body feeling selfless. She's telling me this, she's telling me that. You said you take me with you and you never go back. Now I got a lesson that I wanna teach. I'ma show you that where you from, it don't matter to me. She said, hola, 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 ¿cómo está? She's hola, 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 hola. You know I love them all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC, the fully loaded transfer show. We are here to discuss all things Newcastle United. Got a little bit to discuss, not just the football over the last couple of days, but also transfer news, because there has been a little bit of it. We need to discuss all of that and get that in as much as possible. Chris, how are you? How's your Sunday? How's your weekend been? How are things?
Yeah, mate, it's been a nice chilled weekend. Obviously, 2 Newcastle games to enjoy, which has been good. Haven't enjoyed all of them, but you know, it's still nice to watch a bit of football. And I have to say, I am excited for the new season. I know there's a lot of nervousness around it. There's a lot of unknown, but either way, I do love the footy. I love having the footy back. So yeah, I followed the Championship yesterday, and annoyingly, one game let me down for 500 quid yesterday. So I was a little bit upset about that, but it's just nice that the football's back. That's the main thing. And yeah, lots to talk about in terms of the friendlies. We also have a little bit to talk about in terms of transfers. So yeah. I'm on a personal level, Pete, I am all good. How are you doing, fella?
Not too bad. I was on a stag yesterday where one of my good mates, so we're out all day yesterday. So yeah, feeling a little bit not worse for wear, because I feel all right actually, but just probably about 90% rather than 100%, as you'd be able to imagine after a long day out with the lads. But no, great day, great weekend. Managed to catch a little bit of football yesterday. Well, in fact, I did get to watch the football, but not as intently as I would normally, and got to watch the game today. I was trying to keep up on everything with regards to the transfer news. So we'll come to that as well. People in the chat, welcome. We've got 300 in. And we've only been going 3 minutes. So thank you very, very much for tuning in to all things Loaded Mag NUFC. We always ask you to do these good things. We really appreciate it. So just if you are about on X, feel free to come over to YouTube. We've got a fantastic community in there already with their comments and questions flooding in, super chats, etc. So get involved in that. And if you are on YouTube, give us a like. And consider subscribing if you are new. Thank you to all the new subscribers over the last few weeks. Had loads of new subscribers, and we've been seeing you in the chat as well. So great to have you with us too. Right, let's get down to it, because obviously we had a couple of games over the weekend. We had the game against Leverkusen, where unfortunately we lost 2-1, and then today against Strasbourg, 2 separate teams. That we put out, 2 separate 11s, and unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, we drew 1-1 to Strasbourg and then lost on penalties. Now, rather than talk about them or games individually, let's just kind of put it all together. Chris, what have you taken from these 2 games? Is there anything that you've taken away from these 2 games? Anything that that's given you food for thought in the build-up to now, what is the start of the Premier League season? We are now into it now, 7 days away before the big game kicks off.
Yeah, our next game is going to be the first competitive game, isn't it, in the Premier League? And unfortunately for me, it's against Liverpool. So yeah, I am a little bit nervous about that. Yeah. Yeah, my mate is already making sure that I'm not going to pull a sickie next Sunday because he wants to watch it with me. So, yeah, I don't think I'm going to get out of that one, but we will see. Yeah, in terms of what I've taken, I think there's been some positives. I think there's been some red flags. And I think there's a few unknowns as well. It's probably a combination of all things, really. I think... do you know what? I did actually think I watched, obviously yesterday, I watched the Leverkusen game, and I thought Mason Marley was really, really impressive. And I felt a bit guilty, actually, because I was a bit harsh on him the previous show following the last friendly match. He just looked really sluggish to me. But I thought he had a really, really good game against Leverkusen, and fair play to him. So yeah, lots of positives yesterday. You know, I did think it was great to see Louis Miley back in the middle of the pitch as well. I think he's going to be a huge, huge player for us this summer, as we predicted, because we knew that obviously with Sandro Tonali going, we really needed him to step up. And you know, the signs were yesterday that you know he is more than capable of doing that. I think we actually, I think we struggled a little bit when he left the pitch. So that says it all really for Louis Miley. Although I was a little bit concerned, I'm just going to be babbling on here, Pete. I was a little bit concerned. Alanga seemed to revert to type yesterday, which was worrying. The ball bouncing off him, making the wrong decisions. Somebody, I forget who it was. Was it one of you boys in the chat? Might have been. Was saying that apparently when he was going long, Geisler was shouting saying he should go short. When he went short, Geisler was telling him to go long. Felt very, very samey as last season, so that worried me a touch. Although I'm going to try and keep the positivity on the whole of the preseason because I think it has been a positive preseason for Anthony Elanga. And maybe yesterday was a sparse one. Let's see. I'm still raving, Pete, over Sean Steer. I'm still very, very excited over Sean Steer. I am really, really excited for him. You put out a fantastic tweet as well, Pete, yesterday. I think it was, and you were saying, you know, people need to get off Hornacek's back. There's been a few long-range efforts at Hornacek. Now, one, you know, they shouldn't be getting, you know, these clear shots away at him. But also, I think it's still early days. And let's be honest, Pete, and I think it's fair everyone saying this. They were two really good strikes. Like they were really, really good. So you know, I don't want to start, you know, pushing the panic button on Lucas Hornacek just yet. Because I also think he's made some really good saves through this, and I think you know he's only going to improve. He still needs to acclimatise. He still needs to adapt. So you know, I'm gonna hold my reservation until I've seen a good few games from him. Anything else on yesterday's team?
Chris, can I just come in on that Hornacek? Because I think it's important we cover that one early on because you've touched on it and quite rightly so. I thought the stick for Hornacek yesterday was really, really harsh. You touched on the point for the first goal. Everyone's talking about another long ranger got beat, blah blah blah, this that and the other. No one's talking about how poor that defending was in the build up to it. How poor was that defending from Hall? Firstly, that overstretched like foot that was just nowhere near necessary at that point in time, and then the lack of closing down to allow that shot from Mazza to be taken in the first place 45 seconds in. Poor. Like that. If anything's poor about that, it's the defending, not him as a goalkeeper. Great shots end up beating good goalkeepers, fantastic goalkeepers, great goalkeepers even. That's just the reality of it. Some people said it was right down the middle, but look at how many bodies it's having to go through. So he's seeing it late, and it's a great strike on top of that. I thought he made a few other really good saves in the game that nobody's talking about. And nobody's talking about the second goal from Boniface. It was a great strike. It was an absolutely brilliant strike. There was nothing wrong with that strike whatsoever. It was a really good hit right into the bottom corner. There was no way at all that they were going to get anywhere near it. So there was no issue with that whatsoever. Like that's just two good goals. Yeah. And I just don't get the negativity. The lad's 24 years old. He's barely been in the door 2 weeks. He's in a position where he's brand new to the team. Like he needs support. This is what our fans, I think, are forgetting in the build-up to this season. They need support. These are young lads. That need support. They are not 28, 29, 30, 31-year-old experienced players. brand new to the country. We need to get behind them, not chop these lads down early on. I'm baffled by it. I really am. Like I was just thinking, really, but that's just my little 2 pence on Hornacek as well. So, but I know you got a couple of other bits to jump in on, mate. So go for it.
Yeah. I mean that kind of summarizes yesterday for me. I think they're probably my main points. And then from today, I thought today's performance was better than yesterday's overall. Someone's just put in the chat there, Jacob Murphy was man of the match. That says it all. I mean, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
And let's be fair. Look, how many times have we questioned Jacob Murphy?
Some good balls.
His performances. I thought he played well today. There's times where we've gone on this show and on reactions gone, rubbish, get rid. We've been saying it all summer. Let's move him on. Everton, come and get him. But reality was, he had a good game. He played well. And we equally praise a player, regardless of what we think about where they need to be, whether this club or not. And we equally criticize players when they've not done enough. So fair, you got man of the match. I'm not in a position to argue that from today. So sorry, Chris.
No, mate. No. I think it's just the fact who it is. But you're quite right. He had a decent performance today. Bamba is going to be a slow burner. I kept watching him today, and there was bits I really, really liked, and then there was bits where I was just he's not quite where he needs to be, I don't think. But I think he's going to be a bit more of a slow burner. But let's not forget, he's only played half a season at Monaco, hasn't he? If that. He's not made many first team appearances. We've definitely bought potential there. So yeah, for me, the big plus over these last 2 days, and also previous games in pre-season, and Matthias Jaisel has already kind of alluded to it. It's blatantly obvious what we need. It's staring everybody in the face. We desperately need a number 6 to sit alongside probably Louis Miley going forward. We desperately need that. It's abundantly clear. We desperately need a right back. Tino Livramento out at the moment. I think Mason Miley's done really well. I actually think Leo Shahar's done pretty well. There was some people giving him a stick on that, but I think he's looked reasonably solid. I think he's certainly, he did, and he certainly levels above, say, where Harrison Ashby is. So I think he's probably one for the future. Leo Shahar, I think he'll be a good squad filler, and I think having these pre-season minutes will give him real confidence going forward. But we do need that right back. Obviously, Dedic, as you already mentioned, Pete, is probably someone who's going to be in soon. Centre backs, possibly. I think we are probably one light. I know we've got the 4, but obviously we are relying heavily on the likes of Dan Burn, Fabian Schär staying fit, who are, later on in their careers. I think it's fair to say Dan Burn obviously getting the captaincy, which I think we all deep down kind of knew that was what was going to happen. Quite what that means for the rest of the season, I don't know. Sven Botman's form's been up and down, shall we say, this pre-season.
Yeah.
What else to take from today? Sorry, I missed yesterday. The one player. I thought Johan Wissa played really well yesterday. He looks the sharpest. He looks the sharpest of the front 3 or front 4, if you like. He looks like the guy who's ready to rock and roll. And even though today I know Will Asula, he had a couple of really good opportunities. He could have had a hat-trick today, Will Asula. But he took his goal well. He was in the right place at the right time, obviously following the cross. I think it was from Leo Shahar, funnily enough. So Will Asula, put that away nicely. But yeah, we're desperately needing that right back, the defensive holding midfielder. We need number 10, Pete. I'm telling you now, we need to lump big money on that number 10, because I actually thought, Pete, and I said it to you, didn't I, before kickoff, I thought that Jacob Ramsey was going to be given the chance in the 10, and he actually played defensive mid. So he actually played alongside Bamba.
Yeah.
He doesn't work there. I just don't think he works there. But clearly Isla sees him further back. Obviously Willock played there. I actually wonder, Pete, and I'd be interested to get your thoughts on this. I actually wonder whether he starts Wissa in the 10 behind Will Asula against Liverpool, because we see this number 10 in the Isla system going up alongside the striker. And I think having Will Asula and Wissa kind of, in tandem in certain points in the game, I think it will cause chaos. So I actually think that he might go with Asula and Wissa, because Voltemade, I'm just not I don't know. I'm just not sure on Baltimore. Maybe he just needs a bit more time. He's just not convinced me at all.
How much time are you willing to give him, Chris?
Well, this is it, Pete. I mean,
I know we're going off in different conversations.
I know. Yeah, sorry, it's me.
No. This is why we're doing it. We're having this conversation now. So how long? Because again, and I would love to hear anybody else in the chat, people that saw this differently. But again, I watched the game against Leverkusen, and I don't remember really anything of note that he did, and that's him being put in a position of significance. That number 10 is a really important cog in Mateus Eisler's in his team, and he's put him there. And for probably the second game running, there hasn't really been anything from him. That's not as bashing him, by the way. It's just that I don't remember anything significant that I'm seeing from him. And
Pete, I don't recall.
I would have expected that by now.
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking, like, how long then do you give him? Like, you're saying that Wiese starts probably in that position against Liverpool, so already he's kind of down the pecking order from that perspective. If that does happen, we don't know. We'll find out next Sunday. But how long does he get? It's an interesting question. We don't know the answer to that. But
no. I think it sounds really harsh, but could it be until someone puts some money down for him? Because I think if a really big offer came in now for Nick Baltimore there, and when I say really big, I'm talking 50 million plus, I think Newcastle consider it. I really, really do, because unfortunately he's just not showing. He's not showing anything. We're not even seeing glimpses where we're like, ooh, a little bit of something there, or it's not quite panning out for him. I'm struggling over the course of all of these preseason games to think of anything notable where I've gone, ooh, that looked good. In fact, was there a flick where he flicked it over to Johan Wissa and he put it wide or over in one game, maybe? And even then, I'm clutching at straw. I'm clutching at straws here. That is literally it. So for me, in my head, Pete, I've already got the lineup in my head. I think for the Liverpool game, it'll be interesting to see if Eisler follows through with that, or whether he's got other ideas. But I have a clear lineup in my head. I think, obviously based on availability too. But yeah, like I say, right back, defensive mid, number 10. And depending on Jacob Murphy's future, the more we see of Jacob Murphy and Joe Willock, the more it makes me think that they're not going to go before the end of the window. I don't know why. I feel like maybe the club have made the decision that there's just too much to do, and maybe they'll revisit it in January. I mean, Pete, this is a wider conversation, and this is something we'll get onto maybe a bit later in the show, but not enough has been done. Not enough has been done. This window is not, and do you know what? I don't want to over dramatize it, or people say, oh, well, you said it was a Ross Wilson summer. You said everything was going to plan. You said you were happy with it. That was on the proviso. Like, in the last 2 weeks, we'd assigned someone, and we haven't. It's been really, really slow. I know there's been links. I know Dedic is around the corner, but we're still 3 or 4 shy, even with Dedic coming in. And the season's the season is next week, and the end of the transfer window is 15 days away, and I'm getting a bit anxious now, because I'm frustrated as well, Pete, because let's be honest, even if we do manage to get the players in, which is great, I'm still going to be asking the questions on the 2nd of September when the window's shut and it's been and gone. Why did this not happen sooner? Why did we not get the players in sooner? And, people will say, oh, it's because of negotiations. It's because they've been waiting for an opportunity. It's because players have been dragging their feet. It's still not great. And you can even see in the press conference from yesterday, Eisler's frustrated. You can see it. You can see in his tone, the way he talks about it. You can see that he's not happy and that not enough has happened. And I think, I think that's a big question mark on David Hopkinson and Ross Wilson for me. Yeah. But what about you, Pete? I mean, that was a really long summary, but
no, I mean, look, ultimately, the team is undercooked. It's undercooked. It's not ready. Yiza said it the other day. The team's not ready to start at its peak at the beginning of the season. Now, We've signed 5 players. We're just about to sign a 6th player this summer. So you could argue that players have come in. But I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that we haven't acted fast enough this week.
We haven't.
As soon as that deal for Højbjerg on Monday wasn't happening, something else should have happened. Now, whether they're waiting for Højbjerg, I don't know. But we should have been actioning other movements. It should not take a week to get Dedic in the door. And we'll talk about that in a second. It should not take a week for one signing to get through the door. We should be acting fast and quickly. And we were told by David Hopkinson, people are putting this on Ross Wilson. Ross Wilson's executed nearly 6 deals this summer. So he's done his part. But David Hopkinson told us that he was going to get, or he had been given permission by PIF to action things quicker, to get deals done. He said that to us before the summer had even started. So why hasn't he been able to action that? That's my question. Why has he not been able to action that? Why are we still waiting and waiting and waiting for signings to be done? Now, that's had a negative effect because the deals are being signed off when it's time to and when the funds are being released. So I think Ross Wilson's doing his part there. He's sealing the deals, but why above us is it taking us so long to move on these things? This is no different to last summer. This is no different to previous summers where we've been slow. Under PIF ownership, we've been slow on our transfer deals. We haven't been quick enough. This summer's been no different. That's not on Ross Wilson, in my opinion. That is on the CEO. That is on the ownership for not actioning these things quicker and quick enough. And that's the thing. And I tweeted out the other day, I was like, after that Everton game, we needed to have a signing confirmed on that Thursday. We didn't. We're still on Sunday and we're close to that signing, albeit, but we're still not there. We're wasted days where we should be actioning multiple deals. We should have had 2 deals done this weekend. And by the looks of it, we're barely going to get 1. That isn't good enough. It's just not quick enough, not effective enough. Now, we could be sitting on September the 1st and we could have 9 signings in, which is great, but it's undercooked us for the start of the season. We are not ready to hit the ground running at the beginning of this season. Matej Geisler knows it. We know it as fans. And ultimately, the players will know it too. And that's the biggest frustration. I think there's going to be a lot of business done between now and the end of the window, ins and outs, but we're going to be in the middle of a season starting. Too late. Far too late. However, let me talk about 2 games, players that stood out for me. I thought Mason Miley was brilliant against Leverkusen. I did say the other, might have been last week, that I do think Mason Miley will be part of this first team this season. And his performance yesterday has only strengthened my mindset on that. I thought Louis Miley was brilliant too. For me, if he's fit, he has to start in that midfield too. He has to start. Who goes alongside him is an argument up for discussion. Put it in the chat. Let us know, people, who you would want starting alongside Louis Miley in that double pivot. But he has to play. He absolutely has to play against Liverpool. He was excellent and looked like he hadn't missed a step, considering he hadn't played a lot of football this pre-season. I thought Wisa played well in that game. I thought Barnes did all right. I thought Chow played well. I thought Botman was better, but still nowhere near where I want to see him. So he's one to look at a lot closer. A few people have said it in the chat when I mentioned about the first goal. I thought Hall was poor. I really did. I don't think people have been talking about it enough. I don't think he's had a good preseason at all. People are talking about Botman, and rightly so, because he hasn't been good at all. He's had a really poor preseason, Sven Botman. But I don't think Hall's had a good preseason at all. I think defensively, he looks all over the place. People are getting in past him at will. He does not look strong. Whether he needs more minutes or what, I don't know. But we need to see significantly better performances from him as a player, because he is now one of those players that we're now looking up to as a technically one of the best in the team. And we're not seeing it right now. We're just not seeing it. So we need to see better from him. Today, though, we'll go into today. I thought there were 1 or 2 good performances in there from play. I thought Shaw and Byrne together as a partnership worked really well. I I thought they looked good. They looked solid. Again, those two didn't look like they missed a step. I thought Ewan Jawan was very good today. I thought he was well organised. I loved with Jawan just how vocal he was, organising, even Burn and Shaw, telling them where they need to be, where the ball needed to be played. He was really commanding of his area and within that defensive structure, and really demanding more from the team. I thought Leo Shahar did well. Thought he played well today. Looking at the rest of the team, you know what? People might not agree with me, and I mean one of his biggest critics, but I actually thought Joe Willock did all right until he got injured. I thought he had a decent game. I thought he played well in that little pocket. I thought Murphy played well, which is what I talked about. I thought Toure was in and out. I would say that's probably his least impactful performance today. There were some good bits from him. There were some bits where he was maybe a little bit sloppy. He should have took that chance on his right foot in the first half. But he's a work in progress. For me, he starts against Liverpool. I think he's got the pace and the trickery, particularly on the transition, to really cause teams problems this season. And we need him starting the game. Asula frustrated me today. Asula should have had a hat-trick today. And this is part of my issue, and this is part of my cry to Newcastle to say, we need a striker. I'm okay with Wisa playing in that pocket if it means just going and getting another striker to play alongside Asula, because I do not believe that forward line is strong enough to go into a Premier League season. I've said it before, said it last week. People that watch the show regular, I've said it many a time. It is not strong enough to attack a Premier League season. We need another striker in there. We need a killer in front of goal that knows where the back of the net is, that's not afraid to shoot. There was a couple of times even today that was pulling my hair out with Asula because he just wasn't pulling the trigger when he needed to, taking too many touches in the box. He ain't going to get that many amount of touches in the box. Asula, you need to pull the trigger. You need to shoot when you need to. Good goal. Well taken. Great boarding from Murphy. Well played by Shahar down that right-hand side. Lovely, lovely goal to score. But not enough. We need to be creating 2, 3, 4 of those types of chances in a game. And ultimately, when we do, he needs to be taking them. And I'm not convinced over a course of a season he's going to get us those goals that are going to secure the points that we need to be moving up the table. So I do think a striker needs to come in. So frustrating me was Asula. Yeah, we should have tucked Strasbourg away today. We had enough chances to seal that game. We absolutely did. There were times where we were bang on top of them, creating chance after chance, and we just did not put them to the sword. And that's what we're lacking. We're lacking that creativity to create those opportunities. Not today, we didn't. We created them, just can't put them away. And we need to have that killer instinct at the top of the field. Toure, if he puts that ball away with his right foot, Asula could have had a hat-trick today. And Murphy had a chance. There was a couple of others as well. Willock had a couple of chances as well. You put those chances away and you're winning 4-5-1. And it's comfortable. And the feeling in the fan base is going to feel a little bit different. Putting a few goals in, it's going to boost confidence, but it doesn't. And then you go into penalty shootouts. And I'll be honest, those first 2 penalties are 2 of the worst penalties I've seen in a long while. Asula's was poor. I think it just clipped off the bar. Ramsey's didn't even touch anything. It just ballooned up into the stars. Really, really poor. But penalties are penalties. I ain't interested in that. Whatever, they weren't good enough. But we should have done enough in that game to make a difference. That's just my opinion on it. So disappointing there, but some positives to take out of there, because there were, over the course of the 2 games, some positives, some young, hungry players that are looking to push themselves through and really stake a claim for themselves. I'd give a shout out to Charlton, actually. I thought Charlton did all right. I think he played left back, did all right. I thought he played well. And nothing that made you scream and shout about him, but I thought he was really steady. again. So I think these last few games have been really good for the young players to kind of let the manager know that they're there, and I like what I saw from them. But yes, there are some players that do need to step up. Within all that sort of positivity of the individual players that have had good weekends, there are some that need to step up. I need to see more from Will Asula. I need to see more from Nick Voltemana. He hasn't done enough in preseason. He really hasn't. And I need to see some more fight. I need to see some bite from him. I need to see something that shows me that he wants this, because I'm seeing him just kind of casually jog around the pitch and not affect games. And that can't happen. We can't have a Nick Voltemada just wandering the pitch and not impacting games. He's our highest paid player at the club. He's our record signing. We need him playing, and we need him on it if we're going to be better, if we're going to be a better team. Alanga, Chris, you talked about earlier, Alanga, we can't afford these dips in performances. He had a good preseason up until that point yesterday. We need him hitting the ground running. The problem is that we're going back to the point where we're now looking at two inconsistent right wingers.
Yeah,
I think we need two significant signings, one in a creative number 10 and one as a right winger. I really do. Well, I say 2, 3 striker. So there's 3 there. That's before you're even talking about another defensive midfielder. So there's 4. So there's 4 positions that I think, if we need to be going into the season thinking we've got enough, there's 4 signings there after Dedic that we need to be securing before the window is out. So that's kind of where we are with that. But we haven't got, well, what we're doing at the moment, we're starring any comments or questions from people. So if you've got your super chats in, get your super chats in. If you've got anything else in, get it in. If we've got time, we'll get to the questions, but we will come to the super chats first. So if you've got something that you think's pressing as a question or a topic of discussion, put in a super chat and we'll bring it up very, very shortly. But just while we do a break before we go into transfer news, because there's a little bit to talk about with regards to that, we will head to our sponsors. Just bear with us. We'll be back in just a second.
Before we get back to today's show, I want to show you something that's really impressed me. Just look at these incredible transformations. Robbie from AFTV and DR Sports has lost over £100. Michael Owen has lost over £40. Anita has lost over £60. And Linda has lost more than £50. Okay, now let's get it right. No supplement does the hard work for you. Real results come from healthier lifestyle choices. But people keep asking, what's the difference between Optimum Day and Optimum Night? The new Optimum Day formula combines 7 carefully selected active ingredients in one capsule. And here they are. Citicoline and lion's mane for focus, natural caffeine and guarana for energy, green tea extract, berberine and L-carnitine to support metabolism. Then Optimum Night adds another 6 active ingredients. So instead of buying lots of different supplements, you've got one complete day and night system with 13 carefully selected active ingredients. Scan the QR codes or click the link below. Use the code LOADED70 for 70% off your first order. Take a look, see what it's all about, and if it's right for you, why not give it a try? Now, let's get back to today's show.
Okay, we are back because in the midst of all the games over the course of this weekend, and whilst the Leverkusen game was on, we had some movement with regards to a right back coming in. Amar Dedic of Benfica, who played on Thursday evening against Hearts in the qualifier, I think, for the Europa League. I did watch the game. I didn't think Benfica were great. I thought he played well. I thought he had a decent game. Very, very attacking fullback. Watching him play, really, really attacking. So I can see why Yasin wants to bring him in. But this is how it kind of went round. Fabrizio Romano was really kind of bringing this deal up to the point in which we are now. He was saying the other day that the deal was going to be close. And then very quickly after that, he came back with the here we go. the deal was agreed and in place. 35 million package overall with a sell-on included for Benfica. But it was very clear the player wanted the Newcastle move, and I did tweet out about this. He's been very favourable with Newcastle in his tweets recently as Fab, and it turns out that he is quite friendly with Matthias Geisler, and that may be why. He may be seeing Newcastle in a more positive light. Who knows? Let's wait and see. Keith Downey poured a little bit of cold water on it, said it was progressing, that it wasn't quite done. It wasn't quite the here we go that we thought it was. But he said not agreed club to club, but there's a hope that it can be reached soon. Fab came back in one of his comments and said, when he was asked the question, he said it was agreed. It's agreed. And the Benfica sources also confirmed that too. And they've agreed to sell to Newcastle. So this was yesterday. And then today, Keith Downey reports from his side of the coin, from what he knew of his information, that the deal was agreed. £29.5 million deal all in. And that Dedic will be travelling to Newcastle in the next 24 hours, maybe even this evening. He could be travelling to Newcastle to seal this deal. And Fabrizio Romano very quickly said that he was on his way to Newcastle to formalise this deal. It was currently, even today, Benfica boss Marco Silva almost confirmed it as well. He confirmed that Dedic was out of the squad and that he was in an advanced phase. He made the point that he didn't want to lose Dedic. He wanted to keep him. But the financial situation at Benfica meant that he had to go. He didn't understand the financial side of it, but he was told basically that they had to sell him and move him on. But he emphasized it twice in his interview today, or his press conference today, that he did not want to lose Dedic. So clearly disappointed with that. And hopefully we'll be seeing this soon, people. Dedic in a black and white shirt. Chris, happy to now know that this deal is entering its final stages. The deal's agreed. He's on his way to Newcastle. I just seen the comment just flash up there saying apparently he's over Wales. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. But we know that he's on his way to Newcastle. Happy with this deal getting done, and happy to know that we're actually getting ideally a first choice right back in the club, ready for next week Liverpool.
Yeah, happy and frustrated. I think that's probably the fair answer. Very happy because we need a right back. We've known for months now that we needed a new right back. We need cover because Tino Livramento can't stay fit. I think that's clear. Obviously, as we saw with the World Cup with England, so no surprises there. But yeah, I'm happy, but also a bit frustrated because it's the middle of August and we've been talking about Dedic now for over a week. And pleased that we've got him over the line. Pleased that the frustration on my part, Pete, I think as well, is the fact that we've heard over this past week and a bit is the fact that he's dead keen to join. He wants to come and play for Matthias Geisler. He wants to come to Newcastle United. But yeah, it's took over a week. It's took over a week to get to this point. And that's a frustration. I can understand if there's, negotiations as in, there's 4 or 5, 6 clubs and the player's not sure. I get all that. But he made it, apparently he's made it very, very clear he wants to join Newcastle United. So Newcastle United should be trying to strike a deal with Benfica ASAP and get him over here. He's flying over now. And it's like, this should have been done a few days ago. He played in the friendly the other day. I think that works to our advantage because it means that, we're bringing in a player who's ready to go. He's obviously, been playing minutes in pre-season, so that's good. That's good. It's a good thing for us. But yeah, just frustrating that we're only probably going to be seeing him out on the training pitch Tuesday, Wednesday, and we've got a game on Sunday. That's the frustration from my part. But obviously, I'm pleased. I'm pleased he's coming in, and I'm pleased. We're bringing a new right back in, and hopefully that will mean all attention then turns to the defensive midfielder, the attacking central midfielder, the right winger, and potentially striker that we need.
Yeah, absolutely. But those things need to happen quickly. And I've had a couple of people put some comments in with regards to what I was saying a little bit early when you were off, Chris. So we'll come back to those. I have started people where you mentioned certain things. So we will come back to them later on. But it links to some of what you've said in terms of the deals, in terms of the players that we're looking at. So it's there's some valid questions and some interesting points within that. So look, for me, I'm really happy that Dedic is coming in. One, it's a player that wants to come and play for us, that's determined to, that is leaving a club that was very happy to keep him and wanted to, that is now coming to play for us. Two, it's one that the manager really wants. He wants Dedic in. He knows him. He knows his way of playing. Dedic knows the manager's style of play. I just think he's going to add to the system and the way we play really well. And hopefully he will help enhance that right-hand side. So we've just talked about Alanga being inconsistent, Murphy being inconsistent, although played well today. Hopefully Dedic is going to allow that ability to improve that right-hand side, to enhance it in some way, shape or form. That's what I'm hoping that happens. I'm with you, Chris. I'm frustrated that it's took so long, but I'm just happy the fact that it's happening now and that it's been rubber stamped and that it's done in time for Liverpool. I would have loved him to have been done Thursday and at least got a game today right back to get him under the wing and of Geisler and being able to acclimatise to his teammates, etc., etc. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and he's going to have to literally get thrown into the Lions Den on Sunday against Liverpool, which you can't really ask for much more of a bigger game, really, than Liverpool at home with everything riding on it, etc., etc. But I'm really glad he's coming in, and I'm looking forward to what he can offer us at right back. He's attacking right back. He's good delivery. He can nick a goal, but he likes to get forward. He's quicker than I thought he was, actually. I watched some of his recoveries because he plays so high up the pitch on the right touchline. He's really high, almost like a wing back at times. But when the move breaks down, he can get back quickly. He's probably not as quick as Tino, but he's not far off, and he does recover really well. So that was one thing that I noticed about him, and hopefully he can add that and bring that to the team. So I'm really happy to see that see that deal come through. Whilst that was all going on, Chris, now we've been talking about this need, and you mentioned the number 6 that we need. We've been talking about this for the last week when the Pierre-Emile Højbjerg deal didn't go through or was stalled, as it still apparently is right now. Apparently, we're still in talks with Højbjerg. As of today, Mark Douglas mentioned it. We are still apparently in talks with Højbjerg. So where that's moving or not, but we've been linked with another midfielder. And this came about last night, and it was Fabrizio Romano kind of was one of a number of people that talked about it, about João Palhinha's future. So he is at Bayern Munich. He has been told he has to leave. They want him gone permanently, ideally. It's now sort of changed from a permanent to a high loan fee. I believe some form of obligation to the kind of the goalposts have slightly changed from Bayern's perspective, but they've made it clear they want him gone. And it mentioned there, just I'll go back, that Newcastle have called again this weekend for information on João Palhinha. Ben Jacobs also mentioned Newcastle stepping up their interest in João Palhinha. Florian Plettenberg also said later on last night that we are in direct talks with Bayern Munich over João Palhinha, and a loan with an obligation or option to buy is currently not an option for Bayern. That's now the case. That's moved on slightly from last night's point of view. Craig Hope says he is an option, but as it stands, he doesn't expect it to progress into anything. Luke Edwards has had his say on it. He says those links with Palhinha have been around for a couple of weeks now. And they are offering him out because they want him off the books. They want him gone. No active talks as it stands. He is considered an option. But as mentioned there at the bottom, obviously things in football, it's true, things do change very, very quickly. Sky Sports have been at it, though. Sky Sports, Lau Thomas has been talking about it. And he has some good links, Lau Thomas does, with regards to deals. And he says, we are in talks with João Palhinha after the Højbjerg deal broke down. So that's been confirmed from Sky Sports perspective as well. A couple of other points on here. Villa have obviously been highly linked with him, more so than we have over the last 3 weeks. But the buying director said, I think this was last night, Aston Villa have contacted us for João Palhinha, but there's no agreement. The deal is currently off. So that came from the director, Max Elberg, or Eberg, Bell. Sorry, let's get that right. And let me go back to Ben Jacobs. He says Palhinha wants to move to the Premier League. He favours that. But the only way that Villa are to revive their interest is to commit to buying Palhinha. And I think that's the problem with Villa. Villa, I think, only want a loan, whereas Bayern want him off the books completely by the end of this window. So there's a few little caveats there and a few little talking points with João Palhinha. It has moved a lot in the last 24 hours. I've tried to, whilst I was out on the stag, trying to capture it all as I was still out having a few with the lads and enjoying the night. So I managed to try and capture it as best I possibly could with João Palhinha's situation. But I'll ask you, João Palhinha, do you think it's possible? Would he be a signing that you would want in for that sort of number 6 role? What's your kind of sort of assessment really based on what's happened and transpired in the last 24 hours, mate?
Yeah, I think we had this discussion a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, where we were first linked with Højbjerg, and I think some people in the chat were saying I prefer Palhinha. I think at the time I threw Goretzka's name out there as well. Palhinha brings a lot of experience, but essentially he is a stopgap. He's a player who you bring in for 2, maybe 3 years. But right now we need leadership, we need experience. So really, I'm kind of moving away now from my Goretzka one. I'm looking for someone who knows this league inside out, because I do think that's what we need now. I know Carlos Balaba's name's been linked. I certainly wouldn't be paying 65 million for him. I know he's probably got a higher ceiling than the likes of Højbjerg and maybe even Palhinha, but he's still on the younger side, and I don't know if he's the right character, because ultimately we need to bring in a player who has been around the block, and he knows this league, and he knows what it takes, to kind of bring a squad along with him. We need a player who's in, for me, at least 26, 27, if not older. That's what we need in this team, particularly for that number 6 role in the central attacking midfielder role. Maybe a bit more flair. Maybe you'd forget about your experience in the right wing. Probably forget about your experience, but you need somebody, especially in this 4-2-3-1, in that anchoring position next to Louis Miley or Sean Steer, whoever it may be, or even Bamba. You need someone who knows the role inside out. And that's why I think we are going for someone like Palhinha, like Højbjerg, somebody who can kind of bring this bunch of midfielders on. We need a voice in the dressing room. It makes sense why Dan Burns got the captaincy, as we spoke about before. You need somebody who's vocal, and you need somebody who the players can all look up to. And that's why I think we're trying to bring in that type of player. Do I think we can get him? Yeah, I think we can, but I just wonder whether the price is putting us off a bit. I think the price, they're talking, aren't they, about 20, 25 million, I think. And if that's the case, it's a hell of a lot more than Højbjerg. And is he going to want similar wages to Højbjerg? Is he going to want his 160, 170 grand a week? Well, it makes him the top earner. But that is where Newcastle United are at the moment. That's the problem. If you want this experience, if you want this leadership for a player who, is towards the latter end of their career, they're going to want decent wages. They're going to want, their experience and their know-how to come at a price. That's just what it's going to cost. But Newcastle themselves have made this situation. Newcastle themselves have put themselves in this situation, in my opinion, because there was no contingency plan behind the likes of Sandro Tonali, behind the likes of Bruno Guimaraes, and that's what we're living now. In 2 or 3 years, this won't be a problem, but right now it's a problem because we brought in a 20-year-old Elijah Bamba, an 18-year-old Sean Steer, and we're looking around and we're going, where's the experience? Tell me if I'm wrong here, Pete. Aside from Joe Willock, our most experienced player is Joe Linton and Jacob Ramsey in the centre of that midfield. That's quite damning to me. I love Joe Linton. I think Joe Linton's brilliant, but
it doesn't work in the midfield too.
No, it really doesn't.
That's what I'm sure that I'm going off topic here, but with Joe Linton, as much as we love him and what he's done for the club since he's been here, particularly his turnaround since Eddie Howe walked through the door, I don't see a place for him in this team.
Oh.
Not in a 4-2-3-1. I don't see where he fits in this season. I really don't. For me, he didn't work in that midfield too. It didn't work against Everton. I didn't think he played well at all. It didn't help his game or his skill set. I think the fact that he's injured again and out for another 2 weeks just heightens the fact that we should have considered selling him this summer. I know it would have been another experienced player out the door, but I don't see where he fits in this season. I really don't. I think he's going to become a squad player because I think other players will be starting ahead of him. But sorry, Chris, that's just
no, mate. No, not at all.
Situation.
Not at all. And you know what? I think it's quite sad as well. Like Geordie Eisler here has just said they have to want to come as well. It sounds like Højbjerg especially didn't want to come. Don't forget Geordie Eisler. This is what you're hearing. This is what people are telling you. This is what you're hearing on the media. No one really, really knows. And for me as well, it comes down to wages. And Newcastle don't want to pay those type of wages. But if you don't want to pay those type of wages, is it wrong to expect that type of player or that caliber of players to join you? Because people are saying, "Oh, I don't want Højbjerg, he's crap. I don't want Polina, he's crap." Look at the careers they've had. Look where they've been. Look at the experience they've got. And this is their last big contract. They're not going to accept 80 grand a week when there's players out there on 120, 150, 180 who couldn't lace their boots. This is the problem that Newcastle have got. There's still, Højbjerg's got a pivotal role at Marseille. Pete, we were speaking about it not so long ago. Polina,
he's crucial to them.
Yeah, Polina at Tottenham. You ask most Tottenham fans, they say he practically kept us up.
Yeah,
that's not going to come cheap. You can't offer him 100 grand a week and expect him to take it because he's used to the big wages. He's at Bayern Munich. He's been at Tottenham. He's used to big wages. He's not going to come here for a song and a dance. He's going to want paying for it.
Chris, I don't believe that he doesn't want to come to Newcastle. I think Højbjerg would absolutely come to Newcastle. I genuinely
he wants that piece. He wants that.
I think if we were offering the sort of money, if he was offering the sort of money or offered the sort of money that would entice him into that, and I've said it on him before. I'm not begrudging him for not taking the money that we've offered him. No. He's 31 years old. For what we've been told, it's money in length of contract. As 31-year-old, you want to secure your future. You want to know that you're not back in this. Am I going to find a club in 2 years' time, struggling for my next club, my next wage? Am I having to move across the world just to get a new deal to keep playing football? He wants to secure his long-term future. He wants maybe a 3, maybe a 4-year deal. I don't know. I'm guessing here. But he wants to be paid well as well because he knows this could be potentially his last big contract. And if he's I put it on in our last show, one of the directors at Marseille is fuming with him that he didn't leave because they want him off the books. They want him sold. But also, apparently, there's a number of them because there's a couple of other players that have now turned down moves. I think Timber was one of them as well, and a couple of others that have turned down moves from Marseille. Because of
I didn't know that, Pete. I've only just read it.
And it was because of this. And it was because of exactly this. Thank you, David, for putting that on. It's because of the loyalty bonuses. So he's thinking, I'm getting all this guaranteed money here.
Yeah.
If they're not going to offer me something that's either on par or better, I'm just going to stay and just sit on my contract. Now, that's screwing over Marseille, which is why they're fuming with it.
I wondered why he came out and kicked off. I did wonder.
Yeah, and this is now added to Højbjerg's situation because now what they've done, they've stripped him of the captaincy. They've took his captaincy away. He was the captain, the linchpin of the team. I wouldn't be surprised if the directors have said, don't play him. Don't play him. Sit him on the bench. He ain't playing for us, effectively, probably until he moves. Is this, and this goes back to a wider point, Chris, could this maybe be why Newcastle haven't actioned something yet? Are they waiting? Are they thinking maybe this deal might be forced through down the line? Mark Douglas said today in a comment to somebody, they're still in talks. We're still in talks with Europe. Is this why they haven't actioned? This is not me finding excuses to the club. I think they should have just pivoted and got someone else done. For me personally, I think there's other players out there.
Amar, I think you might be right, Pete. Amar is Højbjerg speaking to Marseille now and say he's owed 3 million in loyalty bonus. I don't know. And Marseille go, take the Newcastle deal and we'll pay you $1 million. And he's currently trying to negotiate that. You just don't know. Maybe he's happy with the salary offer at Newcastle. I don't know. I've just got to reply here to Steve Gotti. Steve said, an experienced player can be 25, 26. We don't need people over 30 past their best. Steve, how much is an experienced 25, 26-year-old who's played in the Premier League going to cost? Apparently, Emil Højbjerg was available for $8.5 million. Palhinha's 20 million. How much would a 26-year-old version of that be worth?
I can answer you that. 100 million. Because that's what Tottenham have just spent from Newcastle for Sandro Tonali.
Yeah.
That's just one example.
And that's the problem. That's the problem, Steve. That is the problem. Because, mate, I agree, 26 would be great. But unless you want to go and spend 100+ million, it's not going to happen. And this is why we need them for 2 or 3 years. So if you buy a 30, 31-year-old, you get them for 2 seasons and you go, thanks very much, mate. That was a great job. We're going to go and spend our 100 million on our new central midfielder now. That's probably what we're going to do. But we've signed the next rung, so the Aladji Bambas, the Sean Steers, and we're hoping Louis Miley, they're going to be the 100 million player in 2 years' time. But right now, they're not. But imagine Sean Steer in 2 years' time. I think we've already spoken about it. Imagine Aladji Bamba in 2 years' time. Imagine Louis Miley in 2 years' time. They're probably going to be the £100 million midfielder that we need. But right now, they're just not ready. So you need to bring that experience in, but without paying through the nose for it. We've just seen Arsenal sign Bruno Guimaraes for 75 million, allegedly, could be more. And he's 29 in November.
And I don't think a lot of people realize this, but there hasn't been a sale of a player over the age of 28 higher than what Arsenal have paid for Bruno Guimaraes at 75 million. Nobody has paid for a 28-year-old. Nobody's paid more than 75 million. So although we were doing it as well, we're going, that's not enough. We should have got more than that. We should have got 80 plus. When you look at it, I mean, you look at Rodri. Rodri's just got the here we go to Barcelona. That's just been confirmed. That deal's happening. Rodri, a Ballon d'Or winner, is what, 30 years old, so like a year or so more than Bruno Guimaraes. A Ballon d'Or winner, World Cup winner. He ain't going for any more than Bruno. And he's a World Cup winner, Ballon d'Or winner. He's not going for Bruno's price. So you're paying significant money for those types of players, and we're just not in that boat. We're just not, because as we've just said right at the beginning of this transfer talk, and when we talk about the 2 previous games, Chris has mentioned it, I've mentioned it, you have all mentioned it in the chat. We have got significant work still left to be done on this squad. And I don't think we've got the money. We could go and put down 75 million on an experienced player and get them through the door. We've got it, but it would mean that other significant positions would not be filled. So I think that's where
if we needed one player, yeah, great, go spend it. But we need about 4 or 5. That's the issue.
We said, didn't we, Chris? We were like, although it was a bit of a surprise when Højbjerg was linked with us, when you realised the fee involved in it, 8 million, 10 million, whatever it was, we understood it with the proviso that the attacking midfielder or the right winger was going to be significantly more expensive. Yeah. And we will be putting our outlay in those players. Yeah. Now, obviously, that remains to be seen. We've not seen that yet. Are they now weighing it up? If Palhinha is around 20 million, 25 million, if we organise some sort of deal, we may be able to bring them down because Bayern are desperate to get rid of him permanently. If we were to get a deal like that, we were paying a little bit more, it might mean that we're then not able to spend as much on the creative 10 or the right hand side of the midfield or even the striker. 3 positions I think we absolutely need to strengthen. But Palhinha and Højbjerg is still on the agenda. How that works out, we've got no idea. But you can guarantee the 800 people that are watching right now on multiple platforms that we will be covering it on Loaded Mag NUFC as it breaks this week and beyond. There's still time in the window left, people. I'm going to move us on because there's a few other bits to talk about. Milan Zone said, and we've talked this before, I've had this up on the screen before, they mentioned multiple players that they are willing to let go of and want to move on. One player that wasn't on that list that's become a topic of conversation for Newcastle United, and a few of you mentioned it in the chat tonight, is this man here, Nkunku of AC Milan, formerly of Chelsea. Now, what was reported by Matteo Moretto, a well-respected journalist in Italy, has said that multiple teams, including Dortmund and Newcastle, are after Christopher Nkunku. The French striker is leaving. He says striker on there, but he can operate and mostly does operate as a number 10. Interesting point there, Chris, to keep an eye on. And is one to keep an eye on there. An interesting link, Chris, of a player that I did not expect us to be linked with in this window. I just didn't. He's 28 years old. Obviously, he had an up and down moment with injuries at Chelsea, went to AC Milan, and he got 8 goals, 3 assists last season. So he put some numbers on the board there in terms of his performances. But is he a player that you would want Newcastle to sign with a couple of weeks to go left in this window?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you'd asked me this a few weeks ago, I probably would have laughed. I suppose the thing is with Christopher Nkunku, he came to Chelsea, didn't he? For with a massive reputation, he'd done really well in the Bundesliga. Got his big move to Chelsea, didn't quite work out for him for one reason or another. There was a lot of noise around him. Then obviously, he's gone elsewhere, and now he's at Milan. I don't think he's done very well at Milan either. People are saying in the chat, he's been injured. He's not been great. I think that is a quality player in there, because I don't think he reached the levels that he did at one point to not be a good player. My only concern with him, I suppose, is the fact that he hasn't shown it for a very, very long time, as people are mentioning. He's not going to come cheap, and I think his wages are going to be really high. I just don't, unless, of course, Matthias Eisler is remembering him from his time in the Bundesliga and thinks I can get a tune out of him. I don't know, but because he did very well at Leipzig, didn't he? And I think he was one of those players where he was on the lips of everybody. Everybody, wanted a piece of Christopher Nkunku, but then it's just not worked out for him. And I just wonder as well, Pete, going back to what I've said previously, and we've spoken about this time and time again, those players who, have kind of been there, seen it, done it, have they still got that fire in the belly? I just wonder whether he's one of them. I just don't know whether he's coming to Newcastle and thinking, yes, I'm gonna really kick on here. I don't know. I really don't know. Shorty tune for life. He likes blowing up balloons. He does. That's his celebration, isn't it? When he does score. Final boss. I would love to see Nkunku at Chelsea. Yeah, I bet you would, final boss. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think he's a big gamble. Would they take him on loan? Yeah, probably would. But I don't think AC Milan would accept a loan. I'd like to try before we can buy. That would be decent, just to see, if we could see if he's still got that fire, if he's still got that enthusiasm for the game. So if it was a loan deal, yeah, I probably would. I'd take it. I'd roll the dice on him. But would they pay 35 million for him? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think that might. I don't think that'd be out of the realms of possibility. Saying there, he's leaving, and obviously he talks about interest, but it doesn't specify permanent signing, or it doesn't specify loan. So
where clubs like a loan, don't they, Pete?
Well, there you go. They do loan. They loan out to their rivals, let alone a team in the Premier League. So it's not out the realms of possibility. And a few people you mentioned, Chris, said in the chat that that Nkunku is injured quite a lot. I've just got his injury record up. He's only missed 3 games last season for Inter Milan. For AC Milan. He had 9 days out of an ankle problem. He missed 2 games, and then he had a foot injury in October. So this was October. In January, he was out. He missed 7 days with a foot injury, so he only missed 1 game. He had an injury that missed 2 games that he missed for 9 days. So he only missed 3 games last season due to injury. You look at the Chelsea one, though. The Chelsea one was significant. He missed a lot of games off the back of that in multiple seasons. And he had a few injuries when he was at Leipzig. And I wonder whether that might be the reason, Chris, as to why we're interested in him, is that Leipzig link, that Red Bull link.
Yeah.
Is he a player that he's looking at? You look at when he was at Red Bull with regards to that move, and I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, well, he was around there at Leipzig from 2020 up to 2023, around the time that Geisler was at Salzburg. So he was in the Red Bull movement, not the same team, but he's still within that Red Bull sort of like that kind of umbrella, should we say. So he knows the system, knows the way of playing in a Red Bull team. Do you think he may be looking, I'm talking about Geisler now, is he maybe looking at Nkunku and going, well, he knows how to play the system? Is he a player that can come in and execute? I'm just putting things out there. I don't know this for sure. I'm just trying to. I'm thinking if it is a genuine link, and this is what I did with Højbjerg, and I said this to you last week, I think, Chris, is that when I saw the deal with Højbjerg, like I'm looking at this with Nkunku, I'm going, rather than going, oh, he's rubbish or this, that, and the other, and just going off, I'm thinking, my first thought is, okay, why? Exactly. I'm thinking, why is it that we're looking at a player like that? Why is he linked? And that's my thought. But I don't know if you've got anything to add to that there, Chris.
Out of interest, Pete, what was his G&A for last season?
Yeah, I mentioned it. He's he got 8 goals and 3 assists.
In how many appearances?
So he played 35 games last season.
Right. Okay.
So 11 goal contributions in a season for AC Milan. So
Craig Lee says, I'd rather have Carnu, and he's probably 55 now. Oh, yeah. No, like you, Pete, that's exactly it. I always think, why? Same with Højbjerg. Exactly the same with Højbjerg. Because when he first got linked, everyone was like, why Højbjerg? And then when you actually drill it down, you go, well, he's between 8 and 10 million. He's Premier League experienced. He's full of leadership. Then you're seeing all these videos of him screaming and shouting in the changing room, and you're like, that's what you need. That's what you need. This team is too nice. This team is far, far too nice. You need some people to come in and have a voice. We keep hearing, don't we, about the leadership group and who's stepping up to it. And that's great. It's great the players are stepping into it. And I know Geisler has spoken about that. But he did also say all new players coming into it. We've seen with Dedic. Dedic has got a bit of bite about him. That's probably someone else who he's thinking he's going to bring something different. You want players who are going to call out other players and go, come on, what are you doing? Or why didn't you do this? Or why didn't you chuck your man? Or you need fresh voices. You need somebody to come in, grab the dressing room by the scruff of the neck. Players who want to win football matches. That's what you need. There's no point in having players who, maybe have, gone through the run of the mill and they're like, oh, I'll step up to the leadership group now. I'll be that guy. And there will be people who do that, but you can't just have that. You need new players. You need new personalities. And, so the likes of a Højbjerg, I mean, to go back to your question, is that Nkunku? Probably not. But he's certainly a new personality who's clearly got something about him.
I'll just add in there, of the 8 goals and 3 assists, so he played 35 games overall, 8 goals and 3 assists, 11 goal contributions. He only started 15 of them. So 17 of those games came off the bench. So when you break that down of only 15 starts and contributing 11 goals, that's not bad.
And where did AC Milan finish last season, Pete? They didn't finish great, did they?
Did they not finish in Europe?
I don't know. I've got a feeling they might not have, you know. I'm sure AC Milan had a poor season. Could be wrong.
So,
Could be talking a load of waffle.
let's have a look.
I'm wondering whether that's why they've had to sell.
So they finished 5th.
Oh,
So
did
they've
they?
qualified for the Europa League.
Oh, right, okay. Not
So
Champions
they're
League.
in the So no, they didn't get Champions League because they lost out to Como by a point.
Yes.
I've just got it up on here. So they finished 5th with 70
Right,
points. Como got in the Champions League alongside Roma. So they're in the Europa League this season. So that's probably why they do need to move players on, because they're not going to have that Champions League money. And that's why they're looking at multiple players to move on. Is it that Nkunku's looking for first team football? Is he looking to move to somewhere where he's going to be playing week? I mean, I don't know. Let's kind of Maxi, unfortunately, is already taken. He's already got a new club. So yeah, he would have been a free transfer. I just want to put this comment up because I did start, but I think it's quite relevant with regards to the conversation. Jeff Barlow says Nkunku was good before Chelsea, but didn't hack it in the Premier League. A risk for sure, but which of our signings haven't been? I think it's a fair point. All of our signings this season have been risks. Like they are risk signings. There's no sure thing there with any one of the players that we've signed. So would he be an expensive risk? I'm not quite sure. Going back to our midfield argument, it's just been confirmed that the FIFA Rodri is 76.5 million euros. So you're looking at around top end 69 to 70 million pounds. So that's less than Bruno Guimaraes.
As you say, Pete, for a Ballon d'Or winner.
Ballon d'Or.
Premier League winning midfielder.
Yeah.
Champions League winning midfielder.
Yeah. Won the Champions League and the Ballon d'Or with Man City. And then has just got player of the tournament and a World Cup winner, World Cup captaining winner with Spain. But yeah, he's gone for what, 69 million? He's what, a year and a half older than Bruno. Rodri can still go. He proved that in the World Cup. He can still go. Barcelona are getting what, 3, maybe 4, probably good years out of him still.
Yeah.
Interesting. But Nkunku it isn't the only one. I'll run through a couple of these and we'll come to the questions, Chris. Because I know there's a lot of questions, lots of comments. We might not get through them all because there's loads.
No.
But we'll definitely prioritise the super chats to get them in. And as well, Chris, there's a prize draw. I've not forgotten. There's a prize draw. So you members, keep an eye out for that as well. But for Richard Romano said, Fikayo Tomori is included in that exit list from AC Milan. Chris, you talked about a potential other centre-back coming in. There's a centre-back there in Tomori that can play right-back and centre-back. He's been linked for a while. I had this on the system for a while and we've not come to it, but 442 the other day reported that Newcastle were looking at Tomori, having had or been told by Amarim that he could leave. And it said in there that he was left out of the friendly against Chelsea due to the fact he'd been told that he could leave. And Newcastle are knocking for the signature along with Coventry City. So there's a couple of teams that are interested in from England, and Newcastle are apparently one of them. Would he be one of the centre-back options that you would consider for Newcastle? Would you take Tomori, previously an ex-England international, play for AC Milan in the Champions League, etc.? Is that the type of experience we should be adding to this team?
I think so, yeah. I think he's a decent age, isn't he? Is he, what, 28? I want to say he's around that mark. Yeah, 28. Yeah, I thought so, yeah. I think so. And I'm sure, tell me if I'm wrong, Pete, but I'm sure the price quoted was something stupid like 15 million.
Yeah.
Like for me, you just pay it. You just pay it and get him in. Obviously, Premier League experienced, former England international, as you point out, played Champions League. I think he'd be a decent signing for Newcastle. I know it mentioned there the other club looking at him is Coventry, but I think he'd be a decent squad filler for Newcastle United. And obviously, if we have Malik Chow out or Fabian Schär for any point of time, I think having Tomori in there would be decent. He's pretty quick. Yeah, I think it'd be a good signing. And like I say, for 15 million gets you hardly anything these days. And for the 28-year-old centre-back who's probably got another 3 or 4 good years left in him, makes sense to me.
Yeah. I think it's a no-brainer. I think he's an experienced, good defender that can cover at right back, even though we've got a right back in, but he's a centre-back. It's a solid centre-back as well. He's a proper defensive centre-back. He's got good recovery pace. And he's someone that's, you know, for someone that's so cheap, it just seems like a no-brainer with his experience and good in the air, can win a header as well. I just think he'd be a solid piece of business for a deal like that. I would absolutely like that, but he's been linked with this for a while, and it seems like nobody's moving on him yet. I just wonder whether we're just waiting until the window ticks down to try and get him as cheap as potentially possible. Another one that's not going away, and one that I would absolutely love to get through, is this man, Anis Haj Musa from Feyenoord. If anyone watched today's game with Musa, and you saw the assist that he put on, it just made me want to sign him even more. Brilliant piece of skill. Left his. I'll send it to you, Chris. Just watch the assist. And you just watch that, and then you see what we've had to watch with like Alanga, for example, as you mentioned on Saturday's game, and you're like, why have we not signed him yet? He looks a hell of a player. 24 years old. They're still reporting that there's interest there. It's saying that Feyenoord want 37 million euros, just over 30 million pounds, to be able to get him done, and that's Foot Mercato that are reporting that as well. And interesting point here, Chris. Santi Aruna is reporting that Feyenoord director has cost the club 60 million euros. I'm not sure how or why, but basically what this means is they've got a gap that they need to fill financially. They need money in, and they're talking about multiple players that may well need to be sold in order to fill that gap. Musa is absolutely one of them. So you've got a player that seems like he wants to move, that's playing well at the moment, and Newcastle are interested in him. I just really hope that this deal gets done. But that's just kind of an update on that with regards to Musa. There's no real movement on him, but just a player that I would love Newcastle to bring in. Sophie, I'm assuming that's involving Musa, right? Sophie said just pay it. Yes, Sophie, go pay it. Just pay it, Newcastle. You got a player there that's ready to go. Go get that deal done and go sign him, because like he brings something that this squad significantly lacks. A little sidewinder for me, because you know I'm a big fan of him. Thiago Gabriel, centre-back, young centre-back, Portuguese international from Lecce. It has been reported that 2 Premier League clubs are interested in him. I really hope Newcastle are one of them. It does say around 25 to 30 million to sell him. I imagine that's euros, not pounds. But Nicolo Shearer is reporting that one. So that's just a little one that I just wanted to throw in there as a conversation. We probably won't sign him, but he's one that I like and I do rate a lot. Chris, you talked about before, and this is my last point now before we come to questions.
Oh, yeah.
And it might answer some of the questions in the chat. You talked about we want a number 10 to come in.
Yes.
Now, there's loads of number 10s out there that we could potentially look at. And Nkunku's one of them that we've just talked on. Okay. I'm going to give you 3 that have just been in the news that are potentially available, that could be available between now and the end of the window.
Okay.
I want to know if any of these are of interest of you, because some of these would be an interest of mine. First one, I'll go through them all first, and then I get your opinion on. You can kind of explain all 3. First one, Bilal El Khanous of Stuttgart, a player that we know and have talked about a lot. They're talking about potentially a 60 million euro fee for him. They only paid 18 million to permanently finalize that transfer this summer, but they're looking to make potentially a profit on him. Another one here, Ethan Ranieri of Arsenal. He's been told he can leave Arsenal before the end of the summer window. He wasn't in the squad today for the Community Shield. Can play and operate in the 10. Also could potentially operate on the right-hand side, which he has done for Arsenal. Can fill both positions there. But a young player with potential. Didn't have the best loan at Marseille, but another player with potential there. And another one that I don't think anyone's really talking about that I think would be a really successful number 10 if we could potentially get that deal done is this man here, Jack Grealish.
Oh,
Came off the bench today against Man City, back fit now after breaking his foot whilst on loan at Everton. Now, he's played at Everton on the left-hand side. He played for Man City on the left-hand side. But when he played his best football for Aston Villa, he was a number 10. And he's got experience. And if we could get him, I'm not talking about permanent transfer here. I'm talking about if you could get him on a loan, if you could get Man City to cover majority of the wages because he's on a big packet, if we could cover a small chunk of those wages. So there's lots of caveats in that particular deal.
Yeah.
And he is on massive wages. But could we get him on a loan where we, like Everton did, pay a small percentage of those wages? Could you or would you take someone like Grealish? There's a lot of caveats to that, so I know I'm going to get people going, wages too high, too expensive, blah, blah, blah. Yes. Yeah, well, yeah. Keep his house behind bars from Monday to Friday. But yeah, any one of those tickle your fancy in terms of options as a number 10? There was loads more we could talk about. Talked about Nkunku. Any one of those?
The answering all three, first of all, I think Bilal El Khanous would probably have been my top choice. My only problem with him is he's a hell of a lot of money. A hell of a lot of money. I mean, and the frustration is there was an opportunity to sign him for 20 million and we didn't take it. So now they're talking 60 million euros, which is a big, big fee. But I do really, really rate the player. I think he's a top player, and he's probably someone that we should have just took the chance on. If only we'd taken the chance, Pete, like we are taking chances this summer. If only we'd taken the chance now, that would have been good. On Ethan Nwaneri, I think that is a difficult one to do because obviously we've just sold Bruno, haven't we, to Arsenal? So unless we got him on loan, I don't know, but I wonder whether, that 45-day rule would come into play if we were trying to sign him permanently. So that could be an issue. I don't know, but maybe a loan deal could work. I think Ethan Nwaneri would be interesting in terms of the fact he can play right wing and also in the 10. I think that would make him an attractive proposition for Newcastle. And as we've said previously, he's got the best years ahead of him. He's got a point to prove. He's not quite landed as he'd hoped or wanted at Arsenal. So he would come to Newcastle with that point to prove. So that would be exciting from that perspective. And then Grealish, yeah. I mean, as soon as you brought Grealish up, Pete, I must be honest, I did think, how funny would it be if, from my perspective, if we signed Grealish and he was great for Newcastle, because all my blue mates would be very, very bitter and very, very angry. So that did make me smile. If Jack Grealish became the darling of St. James's Park, that would be fantastic. In terms of the player, people are talking about his off-field antics. Yeah, that would be a concern. Yes, I think he's on 300 grand a week at Man City, sorry. He's only got 1 year left on his deal, so whether or not Newcastle have agreed to pay 50% and maybe give a loan fee, I don't know. But I think Grealish would be interesting in the 10, and he's tried, tested and proven. So I think we would get a good year out of him. I think it would be a decent deal. Interesting options, Pete. Very, very interesting options. Which one would I take?
Is there anyone that you wouldn't take out of those three? Would you be happy to take any one of those?
I would take any one of those, but the only problem, well, the least one I would take is probably El Khanous, even though I think El Khanous will probably be my first pick of the three, but it's the fact of his fee. His fee is just too big for me now. It's just too big. And, people say, it's not your money, Chris, doesn't matter, but if you're paying 50 million for a player you could have had for 20 a year ago, it's quite frustrating. And I do think you lose that ability to kind of, be able to flip him in 3 or 4 years' time. And I know it's sad talking like that, but that's the only problem with him. Nwaneri, as I mentioned, with the Bruno deal, I'm not sure whether that's feasible or not. And then the Grealish deal, that is literally for the year, isn't it? And then you maybe sign him on a free transfer. So you'd have to give City a fairly decent loan fee, I'd say, because essentially you're signing them for, even if you give them 10 million, you're signing them for 10 million. And then obviously, he then becomes a free. And then you're probably going to have to negotiate wages with him. And he's probably going to want at least 200 grand a week. So then it's probably bye-bye Grealish come the end of next season. So yeah, interesting options though, Pete. I think as players, I think all of them would add something to this team as players.
Yeah, and that was it. I've only used those 3 of the examples. People will throw out other number 10s, players that can play there. It was only because they've just been in. Yeah, he's another one. Lucas is another one. Gibbs White would be another one. There you go. The only reason I use those 3 as an example is because they're out in the media that are basically saying they could be available this window. That's the only reason I use those 3, because they're likely. And Nkunku as well as a 4th. That was a separate conversation about the Milan, but that's why I use those, just because they're out there and they're ones that are likely to move club between now and the end of the window. But yeah, Lucas Susic is a player that I brought up from Sociedad last week, I think about a week and a half ago, as someone that knows the RB system and is a technically very good player. So there's other options out there for sure. But I just thought I'd bring that sort of to the table. There has been an update from Keith Downey. I'll bring it to you now. Amar Dedic has just landed in Newcastle to confirm and complete his £29.5 million move from Benfica. He's landed by private jet from Lisbon in the last few minutes and will undergo his medical tomorrow before signing a 5-year deal. He was seen and photographed and videoed leaving Lisbon from their airport and moving to Newcastle, and that deal will be finalized tomorrow on a 5-year contract. So just a little update there. Right, super chats, comments, questions. We might not be able to get through them all, people, just let you know in advance, because there's so many, but we love the fact that you've all committed to comments and questions in the chat. This is what we love. But what is there, Chris, or to fizzle through before?
Do you know what I'm going to do just before we come to those comments and questions? I'm going to ask my quiz question.
Oh yes, let's do the prize draw then. Let's do
the prize draw. Yeah. So, as most of you will know at home, the prize draw is open to all members, all Loaded Mag Ultras, and this will apply to you as well, Kieran Byrne. Thank you very much for becoming a member. So you are now in the prize draw. So
eligible.
Kieran, thank you very much for becoming a member, mate. Much appreciated. And if anybody is interested, we've said that these prize draws, there will be 2 prize draws for our next new signing. And obviously, it sounds like our next new sign is going to be in the next 48 hours minimum. So if you haven't already become a Loaded Ultra, please consider doing so. But we are going to give 1 prize away tonight, a shirt from our much loved sponsor, OK Jerseys. OK Jersey are our sponsor, and you can see on the poster here for the 26-27 season, all the Premier League jerseys are now on there. Now, if you visit OK Jersey and you wish to purchase a shirt, don't forget to use the code LOADED for 8% off. Some fantastic jerseys on there, all at a very, very reasonable price. Trustpilot recommends 4.6 out of 5. They are rated excellent. So get yourself onto OK Jersey, and the prize winner tonight can do that can go on the site and have a little look, pick the jersey that they want for next season, and we will get it sent out to you. So I'm going to ask everybody now a question, and the first member to come up with the right answer is the winner. Okay? So the question, and it's not shirt number related, just in case anyone's wondering. So, and Pete, I'd be interested to hear. Don't shout out the answer, Pete, but tell me if you knew the answer.
Not me.
Yep, you can't answer this, Pete. So, who replaced the Newcastle Brown Ale? Who replaced Newcastle Brown Ale as the club sponsor in the year 2000? So who was the sponsor who came in to replace Newcastle Brown Ale in the year 2000? The first person to get the answer right will win the prize. Who was
members only?
Oh, winner straight away.
In.
Rob Lee.
Rob Lee.
Great name.
Is
Great
it
name.
the Rob Lee? Is it the Rob Lee?
It probably is the Rob Lee.
Yeah.
It probably is. Rob Lee. Fantastic.
He'll know because he played in it.
Yeah.
He played in it.
Yeah. We had some other answers. People were saying Northern Rock, Wonga, Greenhalls, Virgin Money. But the answer was NTL. Congratulations, Rob Lee. Rob, get in touch with us, mate. Either contact myself, Pete, Daz, anybody on Loaded. Go on X, drop us an email. Drop us an email if that's easier for you, mate. Our email address there is at the very bottom. loadedmagnufcinfo@gmail.com. By all means, drop us an email or contact one of us on X. We will get that all sorted out for you. But congratulations, Rob. Fantastic.
Love it.
Brilliant stuff. And for everyone else, the questions will keep coming. It will probably be tomorrow or Tuesday.
Yeah.
We are going to give away 2 more shirts. So keep watching, become a Loaded Mag Ultra, and get ready for some more questions. But congratulations, Rob Lee. Good man.
Brilliant
Good
stuff.
man. Well done.
Brilliant stuff.
Okay, right. Let's get to some questions. So, VIP the Romero organization, thank you so much for your super chat, mate. Willock looked damn good as the number 10. We need Musa. Yes. What did you think of Willock today, Pete?
Yeah, I think you just nipped off when I was talking about sort of some of the players, and I did say I thought Willock played well today. I thought he played well, obviously up until he got injured and then came off just before the end. But I just thought he played well in that position. It gave him sort of like almost a free role. There was times where he was up with Asula. There was times where he was drifting left and right, getting back in. I thought he played well. I mean, does it change the situation that he's likely to move on or should move on with a year left on his contract before the end of this window? Nothing really changes there. I think he still should. But I thought he did all right there. Today, I thought he had a good game, just like Murphy did. So, yeah. But I agree with that second point. VIP, Musa needs to come in. That is for sure.
Absolutely.
What about you, Chris?
Absolutely. No, I know. I thought Willock did all right today. I kind of put him in that Murphy bracket though as well. Like as well as I thought Willock played, and the likes of Willock and Murphy and Pope, they will have good games. But the problem is the one every 6, and we need someone who's consistently going to turn up week in, week out, and that's my main issue. But fair play to Joe Willock today. Obviously did the business. That's good. Hopefully the injury is nothing too serious. But we, yeah. And in terms of Musa, VIP the Romero, absolutely. I'd love us to sign Musa, and hopefully it's gone quiet for a reason. Hopefully, we're nearly there in terms of sorting that deal out. But we will see. We will see. This warmed my heart, Pete, I have to say, particularly after what I said earlier on in the show. And one game let me down yesterday for 500 quid. Russell Fox, though, he had a better weekend on the betting. Great weekend. Won 450 quid at Newbury Races yesterday. Fantastic, Russell. Good man. Good man. Beating the bookies, mate. That's what it's all about. That was what it's all about. And I hope you had a good day. That's the most important thing. David Cook just made me laugh. David messaged us halfway through the game and said, I've just seen Daz on the telly. Just seen Daz. Because Daz had fantastic seats today, didn't he, for the Strasbourg game? And I think he went with his missus and little Luca. So hopefully they had a fantastic day today. But yeah, I didn't manage to catch Daz. I must have looked away when it panned in on him. But yeah, Daz was spotted in the stands. He was right behind Jaisler, wasn't
he? Yeah. We saw one of the pictures. But yeah, I didn't see him in game. But I've
just seen him. Yeah. Hopefully he manages to get that. Yeah, definitely. So if anyone has got a picture of Daz, send it to us. Because apparently it was on the 38th minute, according to David Cook. That's what he said. He said, I saw Daz's face on the 38th minute. So hopefully someone manages to grab that. Georgie Mesa Luke, thank you very much for your super chat, mate. I'm 45. Love the start of that, Georgie Mesa Luke. I'm 45. Been through enough nonsense to not throw toys out the pram yet. Still maintain positivity, faith, and belief in this 2.0. Keep on keeping on, lads. Love that. Love that. Not far behind you, Jordy Racer Luke. I'm 39. I am not far behind you, mate. But yeah, Pete, we've been through worse. I think it would be fair to say. And do you know what? On that point, tell me where you're at in terms of the start of the season against Liverpool on Sunday. Where's your head at right now, taking everything into account?
First off, we've definitely had worse moments. That lockdown season with Steve Bruce was a tough one. The beginning of the season 21-22 was a tough one. Before the takeover happened, that was a tough moment to be in. You could go through any other different parts of Mike Ashley's reign as owner. I would say, for me, and this is part of my wider thinking here, I've lowered my expectations of where I think Newcastle United will be this season. So I'm not kicking off and banging the drum and going, oh, why is this happening? Why is that happening? This was set in stone back in February when they said we were looking for younger players to grow and develop, when they said we were going for the Dortmund model. The only thing that surprised me was the Bruno leaving, because that was the one that nobody expected. My expectations of this season have lowered. So I'm not panicking or stressed or worried about fighting for Champions League and getting up into that top six, because I don't think we're going to be anywhere near that. I think if we were to get European football this season, I think we've done bloody good and a damn good job, as Mateusz Eisler would have done, to get that position. That's just because I'm looking at the squad now and the squad of what we add, and it's not where it was with the players that we had before. It's just a reality. So we are now back into a work in progress. I've said to you before, we are undercooked going into the season. We're not ready for a Premier League season as it stands right now. Is that the manager's fault? Absolutely not. Is it the players' fault? Absolutely not. So I don't want to be going on and bashing these players, which is why I was so frustrated and so passionate about Hornacek getting loads of stick. It's because it's not his fault. It's a new goalkeeper coming into this club, right, that's undercooked. It's not ready. We shouldn't be hammering Bamba. I saw a comment in the chat in previous shows and today going, oh, Bamba's shite, blah, blah, blah. No, he's not. He's just taking a little bit longer to settle in, because that's sometimes what 20-year-olds do. Sean Sturr's done that a little bit quicker. That's fine. But that's not always the case. Sometimes players take a little bit longer, particularly if they're young, moving country, etc., etc. It takes time. We shouldn't be hammering these players. It is not their fault we're in this position. It's the ownership being slow. It's the money being filtered over to get deals done. When they have been filtered through, Ross Wilson's executed the deal. But everything's slow, and it's not the player's fault, and it's not the manager's fault. So we need to back these guys. I keep saying it, and I'll say it again. I back Mateusz Eisler to get the absolute best out of this team. Will we be fighting Premier League titles, top 5 Champions League? No, because that's not what he's got at his disposal. But what he will do is ensure that they're performing at their maximum, and we need to give him time to do that. We need to give him support. We need to back these players, back this manager. We have to support them, because if we don't, you're going to have young players that heads are going to drop and confidence is going to fade, and that's only going to affect results even further. These are not 25, 26, 27 experienced players. Like, we were right to question Gordon last season. We were right to question Tonali last season. We were right to question even our captain at times last season and other players, because they're experienced players. They've been there and done it. We expected better last season from those, and they did not step up. Even some of the players that are still here did not step up. We're okay to question them because they've been there and done it and got the T-shirt and then underperformed. These young lads that are coming in, they do not have, for me, they should not be questioned or hammered if they're not performing, because that's what young players do. They'll have good moments, they'll have bad moments. They will be a little bit inconsistent here and there. Get behind them, support them, and let's try and get the best and maximize the best out of them we could possibly get. So my expectations are lowered, to answer your question. If we got any form of European football, I'll be delighted. But I think anywhere between top half and European football should really be the aim of this team. And that's significantly lower than I had it previously. But what about you, Chris?
Yeah, 10th and above for me. Right now, I'd probably take 14th and above. I just don't want any nervousness towards the end of the season, like we nearly experienced in the last 6-7 weeks of the season previous. Is that low? Yeah, it is. But as we all keep saying, as the media keep going on about, we've lost our 3 best players and we haven't fully replaced all of them yet. So if we're finishing 12th with those 3 players, then how can the expectation be, as of right now, for us to expect better than that? So for me, anyway, right now as it stands, anything in and around 12th, I would take. I would take. I just don't want to be near the bottom. I just don't want to be flirting with the bottom of the league. Obviously, I'd love Europe, and if we managed to get in Europe, I'd be absolutely elated. Are we capable of getting Europe with a couple more signings? Yeah, quite possibly. But we need some players, as you say, Pete, to step up. And can they step up? Of course they can, but they need to. We need to see that this season, and Yeisel's going to have to really try and get the very, very most that he can out of this squad. But we've got to remember, that we have signed a lot of young players, but they're young, talented players. They're not, has-beens. They're not. We haven't signed players who, nobody else wanted. If anything, we've cherry-picked a few players, bit unknown, yeah, granted. But you would hope that they're going to turn out to be good players. I still think we're 2 or 3 short, but if we bring those 2 or 3 in, who knows? Who knows? On the subject of that, Pete, Chris 1892 has said, amateurish. Do you lads think this is all because PIF have to have final sign-off, like we saw in the Amazon documentary? Now, I know, Pete, you kind of touched on that in your previous response. Do you still think that there's that blocker? Do you still think that there's we'd like to buy this player, hang on. We'll wait and see if Yassir is happy to sign this one off. David Hopkinson seemed to allude that barrier had been broken. Do you believe it has?
Well, that was what we were under the impression that it was, that it had been kind of cut off, and that they had more kind of final say, and they were able to be more efficient and get things done without the sign off of PIF. But nothing's changed. I'm under the impression that PIF is still having final say, because nothing has changed. Nothing's any quicker than what it was before. We talked about it. That deal for Dedic should have been done. He should not have been allowed to play on that Thursday for Benfica against Hearts. It should have been done. He should have been flying in, or he shouldn't have been able to leave Scotland and fly back to Portugal without flying to Newcastle and getting his move done first. He was right here on Thursday night. Why have we then sent him back to Portugal to then bring him back on Sunday to Newcastle? It should have been done, tied up, and then he could have gone.
And the fee, Pete, hasn't changed. This fee is exactly. You wouldn't even announce the fee. That was what was first said 2 weeks ago. Different if the fee was 20 million, and they were like, "Oh, Newcastle have been hard negotiators." It's the fee that was spoken about over a week ago.
So I can't think of any other reason other than that PIF are still holding rein on this. Because if they're not, then you've got to question the CEO for not making it more efficient and quicker. Because he's the one that asked for the sign-off to move things quicker. So why is he not? If they have relinquished that control, why are they not being more efficient and moving quicker? That would be my question on it. So I have to believe that PIF is still putting rank on it. If they're not, madness. It's going to turn my light on one second.
Yeah, no, go for it, mate. Go for it. Right. Let's see. Where should we go next? Peter McArdle. So, Peter McArdle, thank you for your super chat, mate. Peter, you've said we have to play free in midfield against Liverpool, otherwise we will get mullers. Yeah, do you know what? It's an interesting point, that, Peter McArdle, because I do still think we'll line up 4-2-3-1. I think that's what we've seen throughout from Matthias Geisler. I still think we'll set up as 4-2-3-1, but will there be changes made in play if it's not quite working? Quite possibly. We do see one of the holding midfielders, don't we, Pete, slot into the middle of the centre-backs. We see that quite often. Do you expect to see the 4-2-3-1? Is this what you're expecting? Are you expecting any difference against Liverpool on Sunday?
No, because every match that he's had in charge of Newcastle, it's been a 4-2-3-1, so I don't see it changing. And you're right. You know, whoever's been that deep line midfielder, whether it's been Bamba today, was that guy. Sean Sturr was that guy in the previous game yesterday, picking the ball up off the centre-back, dictating play, getting passes and progressing passes moving into midfield. Just because it might not work on one occasion or two occasions or at moments in the match, I don't think he's going to go back to a 4-3-3. He's going to go, no. He's going to say to the players, no, this is how we play. You either learn it or you're going to fight yourself on the bench, and I'll put 2 players in or 3 players in that do want to play and learn this new formation. We've got a new way of playing. He wants to play vertical football. He wants to try and get the ball up the pitch as quickly as possible. And he's trying to. And you can see him on the sidelines, and he's ushering them and he's telling them what he wants them to do. And I'm still seeing players playing that old Eddie Howe side-to-side passing, being overprotective, playing it back and doing the safety pass rather than punching it into midfield or punching it into the strikers. And you can see him getting frustrated and telling them, no, get it forward, get it forward. He wants to play a certain way. And he's almost having to coach that negative, toxic football out of their system to be able to get them to play the way they wanted to play. I always remember, and I said it to you boys when we first got it official that Yaiza was going to be manager. He did an interview and he said he wants players to be able to think for themselves in game and actually be able to, you know, not have to be man-managed through every moment of the game. This is where players are going to need to be a little bit more streetwise and football-wise, knowledge on the pitch, and not just go to safety. Oh, I'll just pass it to the goalkeeper because it's safety and I've kept the ball in possession. No, punch it into midfield. Make that pass get forward. Make sure that we're asking questions of the opposition team going the other way. It's a process. It's going to take time. You got to learn, or you got to learn that old style out of these players and get them playing the Eisler way. And I genuinely believe by the time he's got his players in and by the time he's got them on the training ground, because now he's got a week. He talked about it in his presser yesterday. He's barely had a time to train with them because we had the match on Wednesday, then the double header. He's not had time to train with them. He's got now until Sunday to get on the training ground to go, right, these were our last 3 games. This is what we did well. This is what we need to do better. And he's got now a week to get to work with them on the training ground to get them ready, to make sure that they are not making those same mistakes again. So that's what I hope.
And we've got to remember as well, Peter. We've got to remember, not Peter McArdle. We've got to remember if we have the 2 and then we've got the 3rd one, we've got to make Liverpool ask themselves the questions. Yeah. Hang on, here's our 3. What's he doing over there? He's going to be the worry. We've got to have the number 10 as the worry. We've got to ask questions of them rather than play safe and go, man for man, 3 in the middle, then 3 in the middle. Have the man further advanced. So one of their midfielders is turning around going, hang on, what about him? I'm going to have to sit deeper. So we almost have to not worry too much about the opposition and get our own game sources and have our own plan. And hopefully, as you say, Pete, hopefully with Eisler having, a full week on the training ground with them, hopefully we'll be able to put that into action. Now, we've got a few jewels that have been provided this evening. So thank you very much, Clon Lad, with 10 jewels, which is a gold coin. I now know that very, very well, Clon Lad. And we also have Scotto, who's provided 1,000 coins. That's a loot box, Pete. That's a loot box. I don't think I've said a loot box before. So thank you very much, Scotto. 1,000 jewels. Thank you so much, mate. Any more jewels that have been given away this evening? Oh, Geordie Tune for Life. He's been a member for 54 months. Geordie Tune for Life, thank you so much for being a member for so long, mate. Nearly 5 years there. Absolutely brilliant. 2 in midfield against Liverpool will be suicide. Yeah, do you know what, mate? As I say, we've just been talking about it then. We've got to pose questions of Liverpool. We can't worry too much about what the opposition are doing. We've got to get our game straight. I take your point in that we'd have the 2 and then obviously the 3 coming at us from Liverpool. But if we can break those lines and get it into the central attacking midfielder, then Liverpool will be on the back foot. So I don't think we should necessarily, and I don't think we should change our shape. Quite possibly, will we drop deeper? Maybe. But I think Yeisla's got a clear way that he wants us to play, and I think we can adapt during the game. So I believe in Yeisla. Horny's Magic Horns. What a great name. Horny's and there's Lucas Hornacek with horns. That is the truth. 1,000 Jewels Goat Trophy. Thank you so much, Horny's Magic Horns. What a great name. Thank you for that, mate. Stephen 1969, he says the CEO is probably scared of making a mistake. Quite possibly, but he's going to have to be bold. Mistakes will happen, but I'd rather make the odd mistake and get something right than not do anything, because to me, I think that's the biggest mistake. Because if we go into this season with just Dedic, I think that's really, really poor, because I think we're going to be severely lacking. There's at least 2 or 3 players that we need in addition to Dedic. So I think there's still a lot of work to be done. Stephen also says, thank you again for the super chat, mate. Do we want a player who really wants to go to Villa? This is where we are, Stephen. This is where we are. At the end of the day, he probably wants to go to Villa because he wants to go and play Champions League football, and that's not something that we can offer this season. That's just the way of life. If you'd asked it a couple of seasons ago, if given the choice, he'd probably want to come to Newcastle when we had Champions League football and they didn't. That's just how it goes sometimes.
That's not negative to Newcastle, because I can tell you this for now: if it was Newcastle in the Champions League this season and Villa not, and Villa in our position, he'd be the complete opposite. He'd be holding out for Newcastle because we're playing Champions League football, and it's not personal to Newcastle. It's just that obviously any player would want to, if they've got an option of playing Champions League football with a team and playing with a team that are not in Europe, naturally you would want to choose that. It's not a case of not wanting to go to us and preferring Villa. It's what they've got on offer. The same with Manzambi. If it was the way with Manzambi would be wearing black and white now, but he's not, because he wanted to play Champions League football. That's fine. That's just the way football is. But what you then do is you offer them something where they can't turn that down.
Yeah,
so
100%.
We offer a transfer fee, a security, a 3-year contract or whatever it might be on a certain amount of money that will go, right, okay, it's actually worth my while going to this club and giving my all for 3 years at this club instead. Because Paolini is the type of player that he'll come in and he'll give everything for the club, and he won't. He doesn't seem like the type of player that will come in and just kind of, half-arse it. He'll come in and he'll give 100%. But for me, I'm not sure about that deal. I'm still not sure if that deal will go through. Personally, I think we're still looking elsewhere. I won't be surprised if the Højbjerg deal gets up and running. I think that's just a sidewinder for now. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. No, I think you're right, mate. Jonathan Francois, thank you for your super chat, mate. Our attack is severely lacking. I look at our squad and see so many holes despite signing 6 players this summer. I'm worried about this season, boys. We're worried too, Jonathan. We are worried too, mate, but we're just going to have to see what happens between now and the end of the transfer window. And also, as well, what we've got to consider, it's really, I suppose we should, to go back to Eddie Howe, we need to look at now and the next game. We've just got to focus now on this Liverpool game. Hopefully, we're going to get Dedic in the next 48 hours. That would be a big boost. But then we just need to concentrate. The CEO and the sporting director need to be concentrating on signings. Yeisla and the team need to be concentrating on Liverpool, and that's what the focus should be on, certainly for the next game. Pete, there is some dead interesting questions here, and I'm gonna ask you this one from Jason C. What will be the starting lineup against Liverpool from the first 2 11s that played yesterday and today? Between us. Or should we save it for away days, Pete? Should we save it for away day? First away days of the season? Maybe we should.
Yeah, I think we should actually. We should see. We
We
should
should.
see. Yeah, we'll keep that for the tactics board.
Yeah. Keep a lookout, Jason.
Yeah, Thursday. The big match preview will be back. Looking at our starting lineups. We'll be getting an opposition guest on to get their opinions on things. So yeah, hold on to that. We're back into the football season. Lots to be discussed on the big match preview. So yeah, we'll save it for that. That's
Definitely. Couple of comments here, Pete. I had to run past you. I just know you'll smile when you see them. David Tofields, Boniface did not look happy being third choice yesterday. We could do a lot worse. And then K Agile Monster says, need a striker with a bonny face. I like that. I like that comment.
People, I tell you, bonny face. You laughed at me. You're not laughing now. Boniface is a strike. Boniface improves our first 11.
Yeah,
Boniface improves our first 11. Get him in on a loan or whatever it is. He improves our first 11. He's a goal scorer. The way I kind of felt sorry for Sean there because the way he left him for dead, he just chopped that ball inside and just glided past him with ease. It was down, but a little bit of inexperience there from him, but he just couldn't do anything about it. And that's why that's what I was saying about the Hornacek stick that he was getting for the first and particularly that second goal. That was a brilliant finish from Boniface. It's a brilliant finish. Like, there's not many goalkeepers that would get anything to that. Right into the far corner. Brilliant finish. Like, that's what we're missing. Killer instinct. He created that goal himself. Picked up the ball on the edge of the area, cuts inside, bang, whips it onto his right foot, strokes it nice and easy into the far corner. Brilliant finish. What we're missing. We're missing it.
It is. Pete, I've got two more questions for you, mate. I'm going to go with. I'm going to read this comment out. I'm going to answer this because Lee Jones says, "Could Bergval be incoming with the 45 days almost up?" Yeah, I think the 45 days ends on the 20th of August. So if there's no midfielder in by then, I suppose the Bergval rumours could hot up. Who knows? One maybe to keep an eye on. The final boss asks you, Pete, and it's an interesting one. If I offered you a draw right now against Liverpool, would you take it? As of right now, would you take a point on the opening day of the season?
100%.
Yeah, me too.
We haven't done that well against Liverpool at home in recent years, particularly under Eddie Howe previously. We haven't done well against them at home. I think we got a 3-3 draw in the previous season when we won the Carabao Cup. We should have won that game that day. The one with Darwin Núñez always sticks to the back of my mind because that still haunts me now. That Darwin Núñez, double whammy. We were comfortable, home and hosed in that game, and they somehow managed to win that. And so,
Trent had been sent off, hadn't he? He was down to 10 men.
Was it Trent or was it Van Dijk?
No. You're right. It was Van Dijk. Trent should have been sent off because he was on a yellow and he grabbed Gordon. Yeah, that's why I'm saying Trent. Yeah, Trent should have been. No,
you're right. He should have been. Both should have been off. Both should have been off. You're absolutely right. But yeah, I would take a draw just because of the of how undercooked we are as a team. But Liverpool ain't been that much better. No. So I'm not going into that game panicking or worried. We should still be going into that game full of optimism and promise and hope, and the play we should be getting behind those players and getting them bang up for it because there's a chance that Liverpool go on and win the game. There's a chance that we get a point and take something from it. There's a chance that we catch Liverpool cold and we spark up something. First home game, Premier League season, cameras on us, etc., and we catch them cold. There's a potential of all three of those scenarios playing out. Remember. Preseason. Some teams lose all their preseason games and then go on a great run when they get into the real season. I'm not saying we're going to do that. Stranger things have happened.
Competitive games are different. Absolutely different. And first home game for Eisler as well. First competitive home game for Eisler. Could I always say this at the start of every season. I always want, when people go, oh, I hope we get a newly promoted team at home. That's exactly what I don't want because everyone expects you to beat the promoted team at home. When I saw we had Liverpool at home, I thought, could catch them on the hop here. That is my attitude, because I think you go into it and maybe Liverpool aren't ready. You expect to lose to Liverpool, but then if you get them first game and you manage to beat them, that turns everything around. That turns. You know, look how much optimism and how much belief you get if we were to beat Liverpool at St James's Park. All of a sudden, you get that oomph that you need. So I'm quite happy we've got a tough game at home, first game. Last question, Pete. Jason C says, could there be a dream, and can we expect a marquee signing? And Lee Jones says something similar. Before the end of the window, is there one more big twist, both incoming and outgoing?
Easy answer for me. Yes, for both. Yes.
Who would be your big twist outgoing, Pete? Who's your player who you just throw a name out and just say he's going to go? He could go, and we're not expecting it.
Oh, player that could go, and we're not expecting it.
I'm gonna give you a name.
Go on.
Nick Altamada.
I was thinking Big Nick. I was also thinking Will Asula.
Good job.
To then bring a striker in, a proper striker.
The money would be there. The money would be there for Will Asula, because we command decent money for them.
So that would be. I'm not. By the way, we're not saying they're going to happen. By the way,
saying they are going to go. No,
they're like these are just hypotheticals. If there was a twist in the tail, who might it be? But to answer your question, Chris, and the questions from Lee Jones, and there was one other before about the marquee sign. I can't remember who it was. Jason. Yes, I do think there's a marquee signing still there to be done before this window's out. Don't ask me how long it's going to take, people, because it could take as long as is the last minutes of the window. But I do think there's a marquee signing there to be signed, and absolutely, I do think there'll be a couple of outgoings and a number of incomings. I do genuinely believe that'll be the case.
And Pete, I'm going to put you on the spot again. Very last one. Very last one. So you've said potentially Asula. I've said potentially Voltamada in terms of a big one outgoing. It's a twist. It's a unknown. I mean, we all expect, or we all maybe hope, that Willock, Murphy, Pope leave. They're probably the main candidates. But who would be, as of right now, 16th of August, who would be your surprise marquee signing, or maybe not even surprise? Who would be your marquee signing right now if you were to give me a name, just one name? Who would it be? The player that is going to be the most expensive of all the ones that we bring in between now and the 1st of September?
Just based on who we've been linked with, I would probably say someone like Bilal El Khanous. Someone like that. I'm only going to say number 10s just because it'll be like, because we desperately need to improve. Marquee signing, Bilal El Khanous, someone like that. That would be a good deal. Or maybe then say, if a striker was to leave, I would say someone like Balogun coming in from Monaco. Natural goal scorer, someone that you could pay a little bit of money for. I'm talking sort of players that we've been linked with, so more realistic rather than going way out there on players. I would see Jack Grealish as a bit of a marquee signing. Yeah, someone that was high profile with lots of bags of experience. I'd love Morgan Gibbs White. I would. I think he'd fit perfectly in here. I don't think Tony will leave. I think Tony's going to stay in Saudi. But yeah, so Holy monster.
Holy monster. Love
that. See, what about you, Chris?
Do you know what? As I asked you the question, I was thinking, who would they say? Who would they say? Because I agree with you. I think it's got to be a number 10. I think it's got to be a number 10. We haven't really been linked with any big number 10s, really, have we? I know, obviously, we've spoken about Morgan Gibbs White, and we've spoken about El Khanous, I'm trying to think of anyone who we've been really. I mean, do you know who I'll say? And I'm not sure that he would play in the 10 because I don't think he does play in the 10. I'd probably say because I really rate him, and I've been talking about this 45-day rule. I'd probably say Lucas Bergvall. Some people would say that's not the marquee signing. I think he's very underrated by most fans. I think he's a really, really good player. I really do. And you can't discount that Premier League experience. You absolutely can't. Only because I'm struggling to think of a number 10 that we've been linked with. I would say Bergvall. And before anyone jumps at me, I know he probably doesn't play in the number 10. He's more an 8, isn't he? But I'm just giving you an example. Yeah, because we haven't really been linked with a number 10 as such, even though we desperately need one. I think so. People are saying Brandt, but Brandt went to Ajax. He
scored.
Yeah,
scored on his first game of the season.
Yeah.
He'd have been a good player. He'd have been a good investment for us.
Yeah, he would. He would have been. Yeah.
But
anyway, sorry.
I was going to say the 45-day rule or whatever it is on the 20th of August. That's Thursday, I believe. So let's wait and see. If we are going to go and sign Bergvall, I hope it's not north of 50 million. Paying that amount of money for him for that amount, I just think is not good.
No.
If you can get him for cheaper than that, I'd take it. But that's just my opinion. I think he's a tidy player.
Yeah.
But he's not the experience that we wanted, though.
It's not the experience. This is why you need the 6. You need the 6. You need a Højbjerg. You need a Palhinha. If you told me we were getting Palhinha and Bergvall, I'd go, okay. But if I don't getting Bergvall, I'd be going, no, that's a big concern. That's a big concern.
I don't see Bergvall playing in the 10, though.
No, I don't.
See, you're playing, like, if you get him like a Højbjerg or Palhinha and a Bergvall, you almost bind them to play together, but then you got Bambi, you got Stur, you got Miley, you got all these players that are all then fighting for the same. But it just doesn't make sense. I think an experienced head to just fit in there is fine. I want that 10. I want that 10. That creative attacking midfielder that can link to the strikers, score goals. Or if you're going to drop Wisa there, go get your striker. Go get your 15, 20 goal a seasoner that you know you can hang your hat on and pay a bit more to get them in the door. Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly that. We'll be here all night.
We could be here all night. We
could be here all night.
Jason, wash your mouth out. Wash your mouth out, Jason.
Not a chance. Not a chance. Absolute dross. Mason Mount.
And talking of injuries, Jesus Christ, he plays about 2 games and then he pulls up again. No, definitely not Mason Mount. I can see where you're coming from in terms of number 10, but no.
We don't need that on our case. We've got enough injured players.
Oh yeah,
as it is.
250 Jesus Christ.
On that note, let's talk about something more positive. Just before we end the show, people. Our man is in tune. Keith Downey has got pictures. There's the first image of our new right back, Amar Dedic, landing at Newcastle Airport. He is in Tyneside and he will be completing his move tomorrow. So the signing number 6 is very close to coming through the door. We will be back talking all things Newcastle United, Amar Dedic and more, and we'll have Daz back as well from holiday and Newcastle, talking it maybe on Tuesday. So if we're back tomorrow, then he may not be available, but we'll be back talking about all things Newcastle. Hopefully we get some more transfer news, because Amar Dedic is through the door, but is it enough?
Am I happy with that? No, I'm not. I want more.
I want more. I want more. We want more people.
We do.
To get to work and get it done.
More people. We need more.
Right. We have been Loading Mag in the FC. Thank you for coming and joining myself and Chris tonight. on this show. Great chat as always. Thank you for all the comments, super chats, questions. We'll be back very soon. Make sure you got that notification bell on YouTube, so you know when we are available, because we might just pop up when you least expect it. And we'll be about all the news on Newcastle United. Have a great Sunday, people. Take care, stay safe, and we'll speak to you very, very soon.
Mama always told me, Papa always warned me, don't hang around with boys like you. Teacher always told me never to be naughty, don't mess